our YouTube channel. Great to have you here. Today I talk about creativity in organizations. Next time I will talk about creativity for individuals. My name is Rüdiger Fleisch. I'm teaching consciousness, which means I teach how to perceive things differently from a different angle, so to find other opportunities to be creative. Companies need creativity. One of the reasons is that there are a lot of things required for a company to have a good market position. And what is available in terms of resources, in terms of money, in terms of headcounts, in terms of brain power, is always a little bit less than what is needed in some ways. This is a kind of deficit model. I'm not always happy with deficit models, but just as it is agreed upon in the systemic world, so to speak, and in the world of organizations, let's take it from this side. The other day I was talking to a member of a board of a worldwide operating company who is responsible for research and development in a field which is really connected to artificial intelligence. And he's really a very, very nice person, very competent, very smart. It's fun to have a wine with him. He's a very fluid person. And he was talking about the fact that the company would need 3 major technologies and breakthroughs in technologies in order to be able to sustain the market position as a world market leader. I asked him, okay, so after a while, what stops you from finding these breakthroughs? And so he was giving me a lot of examples, and said, well, you have so many competent people, mostly PhDs, they come from different fields, they cooperate, you're planning everything and you're controlling everything, so what stops you? So he was thinking for a moment. He said, what stops is actually the people's fear of life. I had not expected this answer. And I asked him, what do you mean with people's fear of life? He said, you can create a climate which is friendly, which is positive. You can talk to people authentically. You can never has anybody been laid off in the company because he had a different opinion. But people are not playing openly. So this was really something which made me think, and I was thinking about 2 things. One was that he actually had addressed individuals, but these individuals, they are working in an organizational culture. And what is an organizational culture? An organizational culture is a body of rules, of assumptions, of implicit beliefs, which make people in the organization to feel that they belong to the organization, and which instructs them to know how things are done here. So the flip side of this coin, or of this organizational culture, is that that you always have the latent fear not to belong to the organization. This is one. The other thing was that I was visiting some meetings of the organization, and I was invited to visit them to make kind of systemic diagnosis. And I found interesting traits in the communication of the people. How should I put that? People were talking in a certain way. They were discriminating all the time between we and them. We and them meant the people in the meeting, or the we, and those who are working in the laboratories, so them. So they were kind of following a model of tribe. We are the good ones, those are the stupid ones, more or less. I also heard in their language what they said. They were always talking about must, have to. It's essential to. And if you think about it, if you have to, you cannot want to. If you have to do a lot of things, you really, and you hold this belief, it's a belief that you must to, all the time present in your mind, you feel really trapped. I don't say that there are not responsibilities, and that there are some things which are really desirable to be done, and if you want to have success. What I'm talking about is this heavy feeling connected to must and should. So these were 2 indicators that he was right. There was a lot of fear. Another thing which I stumbled upon was there were interesting habits people showed in presentations and other things. So in communications, one-to-one communications, one-to-one situations, and they were interesting. They were interesting topics, interesting subjects. But in the end, there was also something in there which kind of was difficult. I thought there must be some implicit rules. Who is an alpha male? What do you have to do to be an alpha male? What do you have to do to be seen as the most assertive, most cool leader? There's nothing wrong with it. It might only not be helpful to find technological breakthroughs, because it shifts a little bit the attention from topics to status. I also found out that people are unconscious. They're not aware of that. There were so many hints and guesses. If you're trained as a professional to see non-verbal communication and to hear and to classify statements people do, you found a lot of hints and traits that people are really insecure. They were always looking whether the guy next on the next level is agreeing or not. And there was only one person that was really, really great. He was stating pretty clearly and openly, this works and this doesn't work. And when the CEO showed up and said, does it or doesn't it? He said, no, it doesn't, and I can explain you what does not work and how it would work. And this really calmed down the CEO. That was really, really interesting to see. So, but all the others, and you could really observe that, all the others who were insecure or were a little bit more withdrawn with their statements, they stimulated the, let's say, the passionate aggression of the leaders. One of the results was that they had to close down a plant in another country with a big group of researchers and developers, because they had this controlling system with traffic lights, red, yellow, green. You also know that. And this group had reported for 4 or 5 years always green light, green light, green light. Whenever they had gone through a phase, they had green lights, green lights, green. When it came down to the final test, turned out that all these things they had done were really not substantial. It's also interesting. Now you can say people lie. Yeah, fear makes people lie. It's true. And so they had to close down. They closed down the entire plant. And interestingly enough, the leader of this plant, he survived because he was good friends with one of the top managers in the headquarters. Others had to leave. This cannot be satisfying for leaders, and it isn't. It's not satisfying for researchers and developers. This is not satisfying for anybody. However, it's a common practice which goes unattended in terms of it's not conscious what's going on. There are obviously a lot of confusions and misunderstandings going on. What I found in the communication of people in companies on this level, but also on other level, is this kind of, they are not allowed to talk about problems. They are not allowed to say this is difficult. They are not allowed to say this doesn't help from my perspective. They are right away criticized as someone who wants to block a development. They are not positive thinkers. I think this is a misunderstanding. Of course, it's good if you stay in a good inner state, positive. But you can't stay positive and say this doesn't work. As we want to achieve this, we cannot take that. When you want to drive with your car through Berlin, you should take a map of Berlin for cars and not a map for bicycles, because it will confuse you. So one of the most important things to understand is the map is not territory. What people think, what people perform, they perform that on the base of a map they have. And as soon as there are traits that things might be dangerous to say, which exceeds a certain level, then we know they are in a certain dimension of consciousness, which is not helpful. what is a dimension of consciousness? If you want to know more about that, come back to the next video. Thank you so much. Be pleased with yourself. Nothing is wrong. We only do what we've learned. It's nobody's personal fault. See you next time.